Singapore, when the Shinkansen bullet train Dr. Yunchi and his family were on started shaking violently before coming to a stop early on Monday morning, June 18. The Singaporean tourist thought they were experiencing a power failure. It was only after he received a mass broadcast message on his mobile phone that he realized there had been an earthquake. At least 3 people were killed, including a 9-year-old girl, and more than 300 injured after a strong quake rocked Osaka in western Japan during the morning rush hour. The Japanese Meteorological Agency originally put the quake's magnitude at 5.9 but later raised it to 6.1. "We woke up early to catch the Shinkansen to Kyoto for a day trip," the 46-year-old told Channel News Asia. 2 minutes into the journey, there was a violent shaking of the train and it stopped, said Dr. Chi. "I thought it was a power failure at first, as everyone else was so calm on the train. We couldn't understand what was happening until a mass broadcast message was received on my mobile, telling us to keep calm and take shelter. Only then it dawned upon us. It was an earthquake. The train doors were locked," said Dr. Chi. "We took the cue from the locals and all stayed in the train. The train eventually continued on to Kyoto," said the father of 2, adding that they spent a good 4 hours on board. From there, the family took a taxi back to their hotel in Osaka to retrieve their luggage and passports as all the trains were down, according to Dr. Chi. Although they had planned to stay in Osaka until Wednesday, the family decided to cut short their visit and take a flight to Tokyo instead. "The city, Osaka, is functioning as normal, except trains were all down and taxis were hard to come by," he said. "We decided to still leave as aftershocks are expected and it would be more relaxing to continue our holidays further away from the earthquake. I could hear and feel the trembling." Singaporean postgraduate student Benny Tong was at home in Saki, just south of Osaka, when the earthquake happened while he was about to prepare his breakfast. "There was first quite intense rattling for about 20 seconds, and I could hear and feel the trembling of the house and furniture. Then the ground shook and swayed quite dramatically for about a minute," the 32-year-old told Channel News Asia. "I steadied myself under a door frame in case the house collapsed, but thankfully nothing too bad happened. I could see the overhead electricity cables outside my house shake quite a lot." He had received a loud emergency alarm from his phone when the tremors started, added Mr. Tong. "This is the countrywide alert system that Japan has for all of its mobile phones. That was how I immediately realized it was an earthquake." Mr. Tong was in Japan visiting his fiancée and her family until August, and said he usually went every half a year or so, for a month or 2 each time. He said he had experienced a few minor earthquakes before in Osaka, but that Monday's was the first time I felt one as big as this. "People are generally calm now," he said. "I was able to contact my Japanese friends and family through phone, Facebook and other messaging apps, and confirm that we are all safe and sound. Most major organizations such as universities had cancelled work for the day," he said, adding that most train lines had also suspended operations. Another Singaporean, Mr. Luis Hunding Yuan, similarly told Channel News Asia that Monday's earthquake was not the worst he had experienced in the country. The 32-year-old SAP system analyst, who lives in Kyoto with his wife who is Japanese, said he was at home taking out the rubbish when the earthquake happened. "Everything was the same before the quake, and then the ground started shaking," he said. "After the quake, a few items toppled in my kitchen and my living room. My TV was intact though. There were slight tremors, but they were almost unfeelable," he added. "It was not the worst I felt. I had an even worse experience in Tokyo though." One Osaka resident told Channel News Asia she is stocking up on supplies. Photo Channel News Asia reader. Meanwhile, a Japanese mother of 3 who lives in Osaka told Channel News Asia that this was her 3rd big earthquake experience and that she was now stocking up on supplies. "I lived through the 1995 Great Hanshin earthquake and the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. So this was my 3rd big earthquake experience," she said, adding that "I am so afraid of quakes, so I prepared crazily. Most people in Osaka lived through the traumatic Hanshin earthquake, so this one was a painful reminder, especially when a few lives have already been lost."